Cause I looked, I was like, hold up, I got concerned. I was like, oh, she lost the first set. Oh, once she got that break, it's like, yeah, she ain't letting this up. She got her mind right.
Yeah, so that was um that was a good little thing with the moms and the mom segment they had, kind of highlighting each of them. Um, but next up, we'll go to basketball. As I said earlier, the Lakers won tonight, and so they're up 3-1. I think the series is done because I think Vogel made the final checkmate move, and I don't know if D'Antoni cares enough about Houston to make any more moves. I think he might be out the door. So I don't know if he's even like, you know what I'm gonna spend this burn the midnight owl for? Like, for what? Yeesh, I'm out of here. So I think that's done. The other Western Conference Finals is 3-1. I think it's done for another reason though, because I don't think Denver has a dog on their team that they need in the fourth
What you
quarter.
talking about? He made his announcement last night, baby. Said, give me the ball, man. Give me the ball. That's the problem. You don't give me the ball enough. I'm hyping it. I'm hyping it. Lose all the hype. All the hype.
Yeah, I
But I
don't
hope
think
I do.
he's.
But actually, I hope he do. Like they like somehow force the ball, but they probably. I don't know. I hope he gets to prove his point. That's all I'm saying. I do hope in Game 5 he gets
No,
to prove
no,
his point.
I hope they
Or
give him,
Game 4, whatever
but
number's
like
coming up.
he's going to see like
Thank
what
five.
it is. Like I think he has a misguided view of it. And I understand what he's saying, but at the end of the day, like you not like I'm watching it, he's not aggressive with the ball. Or he's like aggressive because shit, I don't know when I'm gonna shoot again, so I gotta take this swing. It's not like we need a bucket, it's getting tight, everybody getting tight, and so I'm gonna shoot the rock and I'm gonna get a good shot. Like they don't have anybody on their team. Like I hate to say it, but like they need a Jimmy Butler type. That's gonna be like, look, it's crunch time, give me the ball. I'm gonna get us a bucket, or I'm gonna get us a foul, or I'm gonna get us the best shot. Like yesterday, I saw far too many passes where it was like, if it was the third quarter, you just shot that shit. If it's the first quarter, you just shot it. If it's the fourth quarter, it's a little tight. You getting that lemon booty, like I don't want to shoot it.
You know, they need a Jimmy or a Luca. You know what I'm saying? Or
Yeah,
some,
hell, even the Luca, they need somebody
you
who had the balls to shoot the ball
know, just shoot in the fourth. Yeah.
fourth quarter. And so
I
like,
don't know. Were they tired of you? They look a little tired of me.
no, that's scared. That's
You
literally
don't think they weren't tired? You think
that's
they were tired?
nervousness. That's nervousness. 'Cause if it was tired, like
I think on defense, why I don't like what he said, because on defense he's getting picked on. Like they're going at him every time, so it's kind of like, yeah, you want the ball, but whatever you giving us, you giving it right back. Because
he's a young player.
I mean, yeah,
he score, he go play defense. He run down the court, he don't get the ball, he not gonna play defense. And so like I noticed that before, like in games 2 and 3, like yeah, he score, he get a bucket, he try and block shot, he helping. He may make a mistake like, all right, you helped too early and you might have given up a 3, but he's trying. He don't get the ball. Oh, he's a turnstile on defense.
it's
And so
funny. Dame was kind of like, nah, he's wrong, and if you know, you know. I mean, and just left it at that. And it's kind of like, I get it, but I mean, it's the crucible of the playoffs. Like, you got to play on both ends of the floor. And even if the ball doesn't come your way, you still got to play on the other end. I mean, it's the playoffs.
I can see what Fonz is saying. Not only, but in addition to that, it's like the context of his getting to this point. Like, why am I here? Why you brought me on here to do this? I feel like I'm static. My bad. But you brought me here to do this. I fought, struggled to get to this point. It's game time, and it's like y'all know y'all can't do it with just y'all two. Like it's obvious, especially y'all run through everything through Djokovic. I like that. It's fun to see, but in terms of beating other teams with that later in the playoffs, like that ain't really gonna do it. That's not gonna cut it. Him holding the ball and everybody running around him was like that's. I mean, you know, I'm a sideline guy, but to me, I look like that's your number one option.
That's their offense, though.
That's what I'm saying. Is that an offense that sounds like you're gonna beat somebody in the finals of either the conference or the finals? That offense?
That's
and
yeah. But you know who they're missing?
who?
Their dog?
Will Barton. I mean, they missing him more, and so like
That's their bucket getter.
the thing of it is like in these games, like there are points, there are inflections where they are right there on the precipice of delivering a knockout blow to the Clippers. And so for me, like I didn't mind as much as what he said because yeah, they're seeking him out and yeah, they might be getting buckets, but like even in that game four, because in game four, like the fourth quarter wasn't like the Clippers just scoring a bunch of buckets.
I thought it would come back. They had the energy for a while. Then they kind of hit a wall. That's why I thought they were kind of tired. But they
It
came
was
back. They had energy. It's like, huh? Or maybe it was late in the third.
it
It
was
was
like
like
the Clippers. They kind of who was the who was the commentators last night?
Oh, you know.
wasn't Chris Webber. Last night was it was Mark
was
Jackson.
it Mark Jackson and
Mark Jones.
Gundy. Oh, Gundy.
Van Gundy had the early,
Van Gundy wasn't there. It was just
the
two
early
guys.
game.
Like,
Okay.
Van Gundy had the early game.
Oh, okay. Mark Jones and Mark Jackson, and he made a point. He made 2 points. One going back to Michael Porter. It's like he doesn't have. It's my fault, Clyde Hilaire. He
Got loose.
he's having a good debut.
Yeah.
But he made a point. Michael Porter Jr. His body type isn't made for perimeter defense. He doesn't like get down in the stand. He's not 6'10" and lanky. He's not really that defender. So their perimeter guys can kind of shake and bake him and get at him. That was one point. And another point he made: the Clippers weren't making their shots, but they tightened up on defense. Like the end of the third quarter, going into the fourth quarter, they just tightened the screws. Like, okay, it's like the Clippers. They don't. They play too. I won't even say loosey goosey. They don't play as focused as they should. I think they play down to their competition. I think the next round, what we're looking for in the next round, I think they're going to play differently. I think it's going to be all right. They focus from the jump because the Lakers, they're going to be the same way. I mean, because this is what we've been looking for. I think just from jump ball game one, it's going to be on because this is what we've been looking for. So, and in saying that, it's like, okay, they weren't making their shots, but Denver, once the Clippers start playing that defense that we believe that they can play, they don't really because even like, okay, Michael Porter, yeah, we could have swung you the ball, but it's like, bro, these guys are like out here playing. Like, I mean, look what they did with Jamal Murray. I mean, Jamal Murray, except for what, game 2?
But he looks scared.
He's been neutralized. I mean, he's gone from 32 points a game to 17 points a game.
You got out. For me, I'd feel better if he took it to the hole and he was getting his shit snapped. Because he's aggressive, but he's passing up shots. Djokovic is passing up shots. They're playing hot potato with the ball. And so I don't get mad at somebody who's like, well, fuck it, don't nobody else give me the ball, I'll shoot it.
I can see that.
If I gotta go to the media to get that out there, because I don't think this is the first time Michael Porter said some shit like that. Like, he's probably said that shit in the locker room. He's probably been saying that.
And you know what? That's the thing. I think that rubbed a lot of people wrong. That's something you keep in the locker room. You don't really put that in the media.
But here's another thing about that. His father there with him too, ain't he? And his father there with him.
Mm-hmm.
He know the game. Like, look, they don't just say this stuff. I'm sure. I mean, his father's there. Like, like your father there with you in the bubble. Y'all going over tape. You doing all this work, extra work, and getting nighttime lessons, and you don't get to. It's like, what are they gonna do? Fire you? Like you saying, like there's no real repercussion stuff for team chemistry that you're gonna sacrifice, but you put out there in public is sometimes added pressure. Whether he was venting or not, I see it. I just want to see him prove it. So I don't
think that's the first time he said that. I just think that like he said that in the locker room, and he's finally like, fuck it. Well, I'm gonna say it out loud because being in the locker room, saying it in the locker room don't really get me nothing. So we'll see what everybody else think. And again, I mean,
plus y'all down 3-1. Like y'all want him not to say something like that? Like you need something.
Like after what we just saw, where it was like, I get the Clippers stepped the defense up. I totally get that. But like we saw in game 2, the Clippers stepped the defense up to try to come back, and they came back for a bit. But then you started to shift. Like you weren't scared then. Was that because you had like a 10-point lead? Like that. That's the
And they were playing with house money at that point.
You playing with house money, so you feel free? Nah, man, you got to play with that all the time. Because honestly, no one expects you to get past this round anyway. So you should have been playing with house money from jump.
They still are a young team. Their main players, I mean, except for Millsap and Barton's not playing, everybody else is really young guys. And well, even Jerry Grant, Clyde Hilaire.
This is their third year in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
At some point, we gotta. Last year, you lost a game 7 at home to Portland in the second round. We talk about teams leveling up, making jumps. What's their level up? Like, Porter was supposed to be that level up piece, and now you can utilize them.
With Will Barton, they're just not. They're not whole. I mean, I don't know how much of a difference he makes in a series, but he makes a difference.
No, I feel you. I mean, for one, he probably allows Michael Porter to not have to guard so much on the perimeter because he's a perimeter defender. So Porter, you could go be 6'10" in the post, whereas because I think something with his back is not. I think that's a mental thing. I don't think he's ever going to get in that stance to play defense. Because I don't even know what. Like, I just imagine if you got some shit with your back, like mentally, you're not going. Like.
He's taking those falls to the floor in stride, though. I mean, hopping up and.
I think that's a little. I think it's a difference in mentality when you're going for and trying to get a rebound or you're going to the bucket on offense, whereas sitting down in the stance on defense and applying that pressure. Over in the Eastern Conference, we got a game 7 tomorrow, Boston versus Toronto. I saw some chatter like people think Toronto is going to win because Boston should have ended in game 6. And I'm like, did y'all not watch the game? Like, Boston didn't give that game away. They tried. Huh?
I didn't watch the game. I was asleep.
Yeah.
I woke up. I think I woke up like the last possession. I was dead tired. I didn't see the game.
Yeah, so it was like I watched it, and Boston didn't so much lose the game as Toronto was just like, yo, we're not going home today. Today. We're not going home today. And so with that, one, I'm not sure that Toronto can sustain that type of energy, get upness. And then two, I think Toronto's old memories will come flooding back.
How old, my brother?
The refs helped them a lot too down the stretch.
They're still champions, y'all. I dig it, but they all champions. They champions. When you said old, but you said old.
Without the heartbeat of that championship.
And they made it to. They pushed it to game 7. It was down 0-2. Our man hit a miracle shot, and they fighting back.
You brought this up in the production meeting,
I'm just saying, I don't see how you could look what's going on and then say they're gonna lay down in game 7.
I didn't say
no. Not to say they lay down, but I think they're overmatched. Boston is a better team. I think the last 3 games, not the last 3 games, but definitely the ones that they've won have shown that their heart, shown their spirit. But when it comes down to game 7, I think the NBA. I don't say the NBA. I don't want to.
Yeah, the NBA definitely wants.
But and I can't really say because I didn't see it, but this is secondhand information. This is not the series that they want to end early. This is a game 7 series right here. If any series, this is the one right here, just because they are the champs, and it's they're going to get as much help as they can without it looking a certain type of way.
How much help would they have gotten if Dude would have missed that shot?
I don't know. I didn't watch the thing. You're going back to.
But I'm saying, I get what. Yeah, I'm getting what you're saying, but
once that happens, it's okay, well, and then they win.
So they win game 4.
They won game 4, game 5.
Boston comes out and crushes them in game 5, and then game 6 is
game 4
is a double
thriller.
And you put all that together and you say Toronto has the momentum.
I think what they have, we can't discount and apply it to Boston when Boston has improved what they've already proven. Like, to me, in terms of like what you have in the bank, right? To me, the Raptors have made more deposits in the bank than the Celtics have.
So,
like, the Celtics haven't been in a situation like this, and they've overachieved and got to the next level. That's something that the Raptors have recently done, and actually, go ahead.
No. The Celtics have done this.
They have. Let's not forget
without Kyrie and got to the conference finals, and was in the Game 7 against LeBron.
I'm with you, but what I'm saying
is,
one is a champion,
the Raptors, them being champions, won the Philly series. Kawhi hit a shot where we get 4 bounces. The ball bounces a different way. They don't even make it to the finals. And then we get to the finals, and we don't have not only a Kevin Durant injury, then we have a Klay Thompson injury. It's like, okay, y'all have no choice but to be champions.
I agree with everything you're saying. But what I'm saying, but imagine if you're on the receiving end of all those quote-unquote blessings. All you got to do is next possession. Next possession.
Yeah.
That's your mentality.
That's why the series is tied now.
I'm not taking going to lose in the second overtime. I was like, damn, they got down early in the second overtime. And they was like, nah, just next possession. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's different mentality. To me, it's a different mentality of it's just next possession. Because all we need is 0.5 seconds, and we can turn a game around. That's a different mental space than someone who was up 3-1 and I'm just.
I hear you, but they had that mentality. Like, they lost to LeBron when LeBron hit a fucking runner off the glass. You know what happened to possession before that? The Raptors hit a shot to tie the damn game. They've always had that feisty mentality. The only difference between last year and all those other years was a guy named Kawhi Leonard.
But for me, that's just more fuel for them to prove who they are. Like, I get what you're saying, but I'm saying if you take that energy and avert it in a positive manner, you can use everything you're saying towards the positive.
They're not better talently than Boston.
But they pushed it to a game 7, bro. They were down 0-2 with 0.5 seconds left. That's what I'm saying. I get everything you're saying, but my counter is, yet they're here. Like, there's no real argument. I'm just saying everything you're saying is actually correct. But my rejoinder is, and yet they pushed to a game 7, and they got now it's 0-0.
And that's why we play the game. That's why the game play.
That's why they say get you. I'm not gonna go that far tonight. Be peaceful tonight.
So
I'll ask a question before we go to the next topic. If y'all are done with that one, you had anything else to say about that? I was listening to the Brian Mitchell show today. There was a question was asked: who would you take, John Wall or Kyle Lowry?
John Wall.
John Wall.
Okay. So Brian was saying Kyle Lowry because, and I think he was hyping up Kyle. He was placing him where he should be. Like, he's an all-star. He's gone through the gauntlet and a champion, and he's there now. But John Wall, I still take him. And he was like, well, and then he started to get on the Wizards where the Wizards, they got to make out the first round. They got to do this. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, wait a minute. And then they started, the callers were calling in. Because callers were calling in, and they were getting down on the Wizards. And they were, ever since the Wizards, did the Wizards sweep them that year? Or was it a 5? It was 4 games?
It was either 4 or 5, but it was.
Where they got them out of there. But the Wizards haven't lost in the first round since they lost to LeBron now. The Wizards, consistently, when they get to the playoffs, I'm not going to say they're not perennial playoff team in the John Wall Bradley Beal era, but they get to the second round, and they went to a game 7 against the Boston Celtics where they should have went to the conference championship, but I'm about to say Brad Stevens. Brad Stevens was on the Scott Brooks played his guys into the ground. But then they were trying to get on. They were actually getting on John Wall and saying, "Oh, him scoring 30 points and 12 assists. Well, maybe if you bring down the 30 points and bring those assists up, maybe they win." But it's like
they only said that because they lose.
On my way to, like, do we not forget Otto Porter? I mean, how many shots did Otto Porter pass up to where it's like John Wall has to go get those points? It's like, and I was the biggest Otto Porter fan in the world. It was like, no, Otto, you got to shoot some of them fucking shots. Like, come on, get them shots up. And it's just like, it's just, it's almost like they're prisoners of the moment. Like they really forget how good John Wall is and how injured and then they're looking at, okay, Bradley Beal's ascension and how good he is now. But it's like he wasn't this good in the Atlanta series. He wasn't this good. I mean, Bradley Beal missed a shot game 2 or 3, was it, that the Wizards should have won. It shouldn't even gone to 7 games, honestly, because the Wizards gave away a game. We could say Brad was injured, but he missed like a 10-foot shot. And it was like, bruh, you know what I mean? So I just wanted to highlight that, not to poke holes at Brian Mitchell being a football guy. And it's kind of the football guys, when they talk about basketball, it's kind of, they look at it from a football point of view. Shannon Sharp does this a lot too. And it's kind of like, wait a minute, chill, you know what I mean? And I have my reservations of Shannon Sharp as well because when he be talking about this we stuff, Mr. James is kind of like,
it is a we. We all witnesses, Olu.
We every time. I'm just like,
no. He's like we as he plays for the Lakers. Like he gets.
I understand.
Real. Come on now.
I know. It ain't that. I know. He's at a different level.
But definitely, when you said that he would have chosen Kyle Lowry. In my mind, I was thinking because Kyle Lowry plays basketball like a football player.
Mm-hmm.
He plays like you would think. If you were just watching in the gym, you'd be like, which one of these 10 players could also play football when they leave the gym? Oh, Kyle Lowry. He's a classic.
He's been like that since Villanova.
You said what?
I said he's been like that since Villanova. Just
that type of football. He's going stocky. Like I often wonder, what did he do in his youth? Did he play football? Because he looks like one of those stocky running backs. You give him the ball, he get you 3 yards every time. He might go for 20 once. He ain't no burner, but you need 2 yards. He gets you 2 yards where a hole ain't there. He just go run up in there and get you 2 yards. And he
I think he probably had a season where he was getting them extended runs though. Yeah, one year like was it a balance because he was either the biggest or it was like one of those years where like before they caught up to him, he was crushing.
Those Pop Warner years, like, oh, your birthday is in August. Oh, you got to play with the younger homies.
Yeah, one of them seasons, at least 2 of them. One of them, he was running over down.
Nah, so I mean, I often think of I think of that when I hear some football players commentate because it's like it's a totally different thing. And I would choose John Wall just because he's taller, and I know Kyle Lowry wants to win, but like John Wall is kind of fanatical about it, and we don't hear it as much because the Wizards kind of suck.
Mm-hmm.
From day one in his recruitment to Kentucky, like his high school coach told Kyle, look, you bring him there, you better make sure you have some dogs, because if you don't, he's going to be a problem. Not because he want to do his own, but like if they're not out there trying to win, he ain't going to pass him the ball. And so I think sometimes that blends into his Wizards thing, where like you said, Otto, you're not shooting the ball. All right, well, you just go stop getting it. I don't care if your man come off you. I don't care. And for me, I don't mind that because he's fucking 6'6". He used to be able to jump out the gym, and he had end-to-end speed like no other.
6'4", 6'5".
Right, 6'4".
That game would have ended in regulation had he been on the team.
But I mean, they
wouldn't have gone to double OT. They wouldn't have gone to double OT last night if he was on the Raptors. That game would have been over in regulation. Because they were missing too many closing shots at the end. I was like, that's what I thought. I really got concerned in the second overtime when Boston went up. Because I was like, okay, they finally, pushed their ledge over. Because they kept blowing. They blew two chances to close the game out in regulation and the first overtime. And to me, it was because I don't know. Everybody was missing. But I'm a sideline guy, and I understand it's a high-level pressure situation. Yada, disclaimer.
Nah, they should be fucking making it. I don't that's what you do. You're in a high-level pressure situation. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to make the shit. Like, I mean, and what I hope people remember is that when I talk about all these professional athletes, I'm talking about them in comparison to other professional athletes. Like, I'm not talking about them in comparison to like Joe Smell on the street or Sunday morning hoops and shit. It's like, so when I say they're like, nah, that was they bad, they're terrible. That's against other professionals. I am fully aware that like I'm not stepping in the ring, on the field, football field, basketball court. Like, that's no. I've already done those things in my youth. Remember when we fucking played Lamont Jordan in flag football or flag football?
That wasn't even fair. None of that was fair. Every time I had one of them players, it wasn't fair. Well, it wasn't for me, for my stature. We had like people who can go, like, Sam and there's other people that can go. Personally, it was like, and Lou, my man Lou shut him down anytime, you know what I'm saying? Deep routes all day. Let's get blocked down, you know what I'm saying? No question. Andre was typically on the sideline watching and observing those games because it's like, this is not, why, like, nah, I'm not competing against this. 30 years old, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a different level.
And then the last Eastern Conference series is the one that's over. The Heat gave a nice gentleman sweep to the Bucks, got them up out of here in 5. Giannis didn't play in Game 5. Personally, don't think that would have mattered too much. And now we start the year-plus rumor mill of, will Giannis stay? Will Giannis go? Will they make a trade? I'm actually laughing because I think if they trade for Chris Paul, like, I think it's going to fucking ruin their shit. And I think Giannis is still going to go. I think like, as someone said, he said he wouldn't ask for a trade, but he didn't say he was staying. He said and my problem with how everybody's taking the quote is every NBA team has a wall, right? Some people's walls are just fucking easier to go through than others. And so, like, for me, he's doing the Dame approach, and it's like, as I said this before in our production meeting, I think Portland loves Dame more than Milwaukee loves Giannis. And so for Dame, I can understand why he would stay because I truly feel like I've been out to Portland. Like, he's on fucking Boys and Girls Club. Like, I really feel like they love him. For Giannis in Milwaukee, I don't feel like they fucking love the Bucks as a team. And so I don't even feel like they love Giannis as well. And so for me, it's like you talking about staying for a city that don't really fuck with you. So I could get him not saying I want to leave right now, but I do think he's already mapping out plans because what moves do they have to make? I can't think of any moves that are instant where it's like, yo, the Bucks do this. It's going to be like, it's looking like they chose wrong in a couple areas, namely Eric Bledsoe over Malcolm Brogdon. Seems like they chose wrong there. And so now, like, they got Lopez, but they're really stuck where Robin Lopez, that was another free agent signing.
Right.
He did all right.
That's okay.
And so, I mean, I don't know what major moves they could make that we're going to be like, you know what? That is the one that puts them in the Eastern Conference final. We can't even say the finals no more because we came into this season talking about they was going to get to the finals, and they didn't even make the Eastern Conference finals. So I think whatever move they make, it's got to be a cap of the Eastern Conference finals. Like, I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, the Bucks are finals favorites. Mm-mm.
I think trading for Chris Paul, I think that'll make a big difference because I think he's better than Eric Bledsoe. He'd be bigger in pressure situations than Eric Bledsoe, and he's a leader. I think as good as Giannis is, I don't think he's really a leader on that team. He doesn't strike me as the leader of the team. He's the best player, but he doesn't lead them. And I think that takes pressure off of Middleton as well, if Giannis is being neutralized, if he's not having a good game, to be that lead guy. Chris Paul can do it. And just his basketball IQ just is off the charts. I think comparing him to Eric Bledsoe, and Eric Bledsoe at one point was Chris Paul's understudy. It's just like, nah, Chris Paul is still. I mean, we've seen. I mean, without Chris Paul, Oklahoma City doesn't make the playoff. They're not the fifth seed in the West, like at all. Like, so I think the East. We don't know what Philly's going to be because we don't know who's going to be their coach and what moves they make. We don't know where Indiana's going to be, who's going to be the coach and what moves that they're going to make.
Mm-hmm.
Boston's going to be Boston. Boston's still going to be there. Toronto, I mean, are they going to be as good as they are this season, next season?
Fred VanVleet is a free agent or about to be.
Fred VanVleet is a free agent. I mean, he's a big part of that team. The Brooklyn Nets, I mean, they're a wild card. I mean, but Steve Nash is going to be coach. He's never been a coach before. But they still have KD and Kyrie, I mean, in the Eastern Conference. As much as head cases as some people like to make them out to be. The talent is still, like, top-notch. I mean, the Wizards, who knows what they're going to be? Who knows how John Wall comes back? Who knows what moves will be made? How better Bradley Beal is? I mean, just like people like to look at Kyrie and KD like that, people like to look at the Wizards like, I mean, it's the Wizards. I mean, but I don't know. I think there's going to be a tide change for Washington sports coming up, me personally, across the spectrum, but that's just me. The Atlanta Hawks, who knows what strides they're going to make. The Orlando Magic. I'm not going to say the Knicks. I'm not going to say the Cleveland Cavaliers. But, I mean, we still have a draft to come. Who knows? I mean, what do the Warriors do with their pick? I mean, that can change the Eastern Conference. I mean, we don't know. So it's just like, when are we coming back? The Milwaukee Bucks. They need to get Chris Paul. I really think when I saw that, even early in the season, it was just, they were rumored. I mean, like, they look at Chris Paul. Like, yeah, I think him in Philly, I mean, Milwaukee or Philly, because Philly's rumored to have interest in him as well. And it's like, Chris Paul will make a difference on any team he goes to, me personally. I know some people like Mr. Prince, who likes to twist his nose up at Chris Paul, but I will not. I mean, he's still, I mean, in all time, he's definitely a top 10 point guard. Maybe a top 5 point guard. I mean, just as far as IQ and scoring ability and playmaking. So I don't know.
No, he's a
He
top
better get a job